Hello, in this video I'll try to show you how to use EdTracker with OpenTrack and ROF. Okay. First thing, I'm using an EdTracker, which is the DIY version, the homemade version, all right, that I made myself. Okay, port, and just disconnect it and connect it again, all right, until it identifies which port, because sometimes you might have some kind of a conflict with some other hardware that's installed. You can also try to turn off the computer, turn it back on, connect the tracker again until it identifies the communication port. In my case, I identified the port 5, right? Communications port 5. Here I also chose the version of my EdTracker board. My version is the 9250 or the 9150 you can use. Okay, it's no problem. And then when that's done, you can flash the software onto the tracker board, all right? The EdTracker board. So I'll do it, look. Okay, now I'm going to flash the EdTracker software onto the board, write it into the memory of the board. There it is, it's going. When this is done, it's going to calculate the bias, the gyro bias. At this moment, you have to maintain the tracker completely stationary. Okay. Now that's completed. Now we're going to configure the physical, let's say the position of the head tracker, the physical hardware, how it's connected on your microphone, on your headset. I use it on the top of my headset with the wires connected to the computer coming off from the left. Right? So at the rotate mounting axis, that's what I can choose. It's on the top, and the USB connection is to the left of my head. I have other options. It can be to the back, it can be to the right, it can be to the front, or it can be to the left. Okay? And then I can calculate, I can set my response. Okay? Usually when you connect the EdTracker, it comes with 5.00. Just leave it as that for the meantime. As you play the game, you can connect it. What this does is, whenever you look to the side or to the left, it's going to transform the little movement, the small movement that you make, into a movement in the game. All right? If you put it very high, if you put like 7 or 8 with a slight movement, the head in the game is going to swing to one side very fast. Okay, the standard is 5, so leave it at that. Okay, if you ever need, you can make a fine adjustment and just decrease or increase it here. All right, this item is to make the movement more smooth. All right, you can adjust it like this. I have a lot of swift movement, or you can move it like this. You see the movement is a bit more smooth. You can also toggle the response mode, which can be either linear or exponential. The linear you have, the name says what it is. It's a linear movement all through from 0 to like 100. It's one linear movement. While with the exponential, it follows a curve, an exponential curve. At the beginning, it's going to be a slight movement. By the time you get to the end, that movement is going to be very extensive. Okay? You can enable a hotkey. In my case, I put it F11 to center the head tracker. Once in a while, you might have to adjust it. Okay, that's why I'm using the 9250 because as it's the gyro, the model with the gyro and the things like that, it hardly ever goes, what can I say, off. It's always, usually it's in the center. You don't have any problems with it, if you understand what I mean. But if at any time it goes off, you can reset the view here. You can reset the view to the center here. Okay, and it's centered. If at any time you also need to calculate the gyro, because sometimes you might find it might be going off to one side, you can also set the gyro center manually here. Keep your head in the center. Let it calculate. And that's it, in the center again. Usually when it's calculated correctly, these numbers for the gyro should be at around 1 for each box. You should get like 1 or 0 or something like that. It's closest to 0 as possible, okay? If you keep your head steady. Look, you see mine is not so much near to 0. So I take it off. I take it off. And I can set it again. You can set this how many times you want before you start the game. It's no problem. Just make sure that you keep the tracker still. I usually take it off and put it on the table, all right, or put it on my feet, my foot, or in my lap or something like that to keep it steady. Okay, but okay, there it is. It's almost to the center. All right. One other thing you have to do is to set the magnetometer. For this, how this is done, you move this sensitivity until the points start to change. So for example, I'll be moving it to the right. Okay, it starts to change. And what do I do? Okay, so that's how you adjust the magnetometer. Okay, that calibration is now saved, and that's about it for adjusting the I just pressed F11 to get it back to the center. If you want, you can do an adjust on the auto gyro again. Keep it still. See the difference in the 3 boxes? If I take it off my head and hold it still, it's going to come to almost 0. Pay attention. Okay, it's close enough. Well, that's about it to adjust the EdTracker. Just one other thing. Sometimes in the game you might find that you're looking too high or you're looking too low. What I try to do to get a proper vision in the game for me, what is satisfying for me, I look more or less, when I'm going to reset the view, I look more or less in this position, okay? Like this. Set my head and I look in that position. Then when I raise my head again to look towards the monitor screen, the head is slightly looking upwards, and that will give me, for me, that's the kind of a vision that I like when I'm flying. You can adjust it to however you want. Okay, after adjusting the EdTracker, now we get to OpenTrack. The OpenTrack version recommended is the 2.2 stable version. Don't use the 2.3 version. Use the 2.2 version, all right? OpenTrack sees EdTracker as a joystick, so you have to select joystick here. Then in the settings, you're going to select EdTracker, okay? The protocol is the FreeTrack 2.0 protocol. I don't usually use any of these filters, but you can use them. I can explain that afterwards. This is important. When I'm using OpenTrack with EdTracker, EdTracker has only 3 movements, right? It's up, down, left, right, and forward and backward, something like that, okay? And the OpenTrack together with EdTrack gives me 6 what is called DOFs, all right? Freedom of movements, and I can turn it off, or if I don't want to use it, I'm going to explain how this is done. First, I use the S to center my OpenTrack. Okay, if during the game I go off or I'm looking to the side, right, like that, and I would like to center, I just press S. D, I can use it to turn off and turn on OpenTrack. Okay, so then when I turn off OpenTrack, the only one I'm going to be using is EdTrack. Okay, all right, I can show that in another video. Here, I do the mappings for my OpenTrack. This I can also do for another video. For the meantime, just leave it at that. Then my EdTracker has started, and now I'm going to start my OpenTrack. Now I'm going to get in the game. Okay, with EdTracker open and OpenTrack running, now I get into the game. Okay, I'm going to use a single mission, quick mission. I already have my game set up. I'm going to start my mission. Now I'm going to show you how you're going to use the EdTracker and OpenTrack in the game. First thing you have to do when you get into the game is to identify the EdTracker OpenTrack as in the head movements. So I come to controls, head controls, and I go to head vertical bow. Here I select, mine is already selected, but I'm going to show you do it. You select this and you bow your head, or you can take the phone, your headset, and you can bow it. You don't necessarily have to bow your head. You can bow the headset, all right? So I do it like this, and it identifies my joystick 0, the y-axis, which is the vertical axis, okay? And then I do the same thing for the horizontal turn. It identifies the x-axis for the joystick 0, okay, which is the EdTracker. After that, I can start my game. I am on the field, okay, and my head tracker is working. The head tracker is working together with the OpenTrack, okay. All right, in the OpenTrack, I can lean my head to one side, which when I adjust the roll axis in the OpenTrack, it gives me this kind of a movement. So I can lean my head to one side or lean my head to the other side, okay. I can also look up and I can look down. And in the OpenTrack, I can configure when I look down slightly, I can get a zoom to my instruments, whatever they are, okay? All right, so these are the movements I have. All right, forget about that one. Let's go on. Let's go on with the D. I can use the D to turn off the OpenTrack and use just the EdTracker, okay? Here I'm using EdTracker and OpenTrack. If I press D, when I lean my head to either side, I don't get that inclination. I don't get that side movement, all right? I only have the 4 lateral and upwards and downwards movement, all right? When I turn on the D again, press D again, then the OpenTrack comes in and I can get this kind of a movement, okay? All right, now we're going to start, and just to show you how you can use it in the game itself. I can look over the sides. I like to use the OpenTrack in this way. I can look over the sides when I'm turning. I find that it gives me a wider vision than if I turn it off and I do like this. Somehow to me it feels better, right? But it's up to you. You do however you want it. But at least it's an option. Instead of just having the left, right, up, down, you have a kind of a rolling movement of the head that can give you a side movement. For example, when you want to look down, I can look down like this, okay? I can look down below, all right, to either side. And these are, it's not exactly like the track IR, but it's a good substitute for the track IR. When you're landing, you can turn off the OpenTrack, just use the EdTrack so that you don't get confused. But with practice, it's no problem. Okay, now another big advantage of using the OpenTrack with the 6 freedom of movements is that, for example, when you're taxiing, you can look over the sides to see where you're going. So you don't have to be swinging the plane from one side to the other. You can just look over the side, you can see in front of you, all right? And if you have the movement to look over, you can even adjust the OpenTrack to look over the engine and see what's in front of you. In some planes, you can even look over the wings, slightly over the wings to see, right? Like, look, I can have a better view over the wings. You can adjust it to however you want it to work, whatever options you want to use and things like that. See how it makes it very easy to taxi, avoid hitting anybody, even when you're taking off. Okay, well, that's about it. I hope this video, it's not a professional video, but I hope it helps you to understand how the EdTracker together with the OpenTrack works in Rise of Flight. Okay.